Bring in the maids or become a maid yourself. Here are 10 romance anime with the master-servant relationships. Let's go. Number 10, the comic artist and his assistants.
片付けは僕がやっておくから。
先生。
え？
今日泊まっていってもいいでしょうか？
Meet a manga artist who's a total weirdo. But since he's lucky anime main character number 999, he has plenty of girls around him. Oh, and they're his assistants. The episodes follow the daily lives of the characters and all the random situations they find themselves in. Think along the lines of Lucky Star or Nichijo. Of course, you'll get the classic beach episodes, hot spring episodes, and the one where someone's sick. Basically all the usual comedy tropes.
でも、そんなところもとっても可愛いと思うよ。
Yeah, the main character's personality can be annoying, but one thing that kept me hooked was this setting. And come on, when do we get to see manga artists get a harem? They draw really good manga, so getting a harem isn't a bad thing. Am I right? Besides, all you need to do is to watch the first episode to see where this is heading. Number 9, Maharomatic.
ここは気合で起きていましょう。
そろそろだな。まほろさん、お昼寝したら？
とってもございません。今日は全然眠くなんかありませんですよ。
またすぐ体裁にこだわるんだから。
We're being taken back to year 2002, where you weren't either born or you were a baby being taken care of by a maid. Oh, speaking of maids, this anime is actually about a robot maid. Meet Mahoro, the most powerful robot of an agency called Vesper. She is forced to fight battles, but she'll soon die as her expiry date is coming close. So she decides to spend the last year of her life by becoming a human maid to the lonely high schooler called Suguru.
まほろさんはこっちね。
一緒には入れないんですか？
みんな腰抜かすよ。
From the premise alone, you could tell this is going to be a sad anime. But nope, this is actually a fun comedy anime. I'm not gonna spoil you about the ending, but when you have those 2000s anime girls with big eyes and sweet voices, you know where it's heading. Just like a lot of old anime, the comedy here is gold. And the servant girl is gold, therefore old anime is gold, and that's a fact. Number 8, Princess Resurrection.
お前は家来の資質があるようだ。
何？
わからぬか。呆れたやつだ。
Sometimes helping someone can get you a job as a servant. Yep, you heard that right. This is about a guy called Hiro, sees a girl about to die and thinks, wow, she's so beautiful, I'd be sad if she died. So he saves her. Turns out she's actually a princess and she thanks him by making him her servant. That's a weird way to thank someone, but that means we're going to get all the maid-servant tropes again.
効力が切れると数日で死ぬぞ。せいぜい懸命に仕えるがよい。一生な。
Oh, and by the way, she's the daughter of the king of monsters. Don't think too hard about anime biology. It's better that way. But really, when was the last time you saw a guy serving a monster princess? If you're into zombies, vampires, and super weird monsters like were-sharks, were-pandas, and killer dumplings, this show has you covered. Number 7, the maid I hired recently is mysterious.
頑張れ頑張れ頑張れ坊ちゃま。OS。なんで一緒に練習しないんですか？
可愛くてつい見入ってしまった。
The best way to win over an obsessed girl? Hire a maid. But not just any maid. You got to pick the right one. In this story, the maid's name is Lilith, and she's hired to look after her employer's son, Yuri. But Yuri's got some wild ideas. He's convinced the maid is up to no good and stays super wary of her all the time. Funny enough, this just makes Lilith like him even more. She shows it by playfully teasing him whenever she gets the chance.
素晴らしいご活躍でした。赤組の勝ちですよ。すごいです。
If you love Takagi-san, then this is basically Takagi-san becoming a maid. These girls don't show their obsession with hugs, they show it by messing with you. And to make it even better, Yuri is the classic clueless and overly dramatic main character, so he totally overreacts to everything. Trust me, the chemistry between the two main characters is what makes it infinitely better. Number 6, You Are Miss Servant.
ご無事でしょうか？
ありがとうございます。
申し訳ありません。 このように直接人の命を救ったことがなくて、動機が止まらなくて。
Nope, we're not done with maids just yet. This story's about a maid who used to be an assassin, but decides to leave that life behind by becoming a maid. And they say people don't change. She ends up at the house of Hitoyoshi Yokoya asking for a job. From there, it's a sweet master-servant bond inside the house, mixed with some nice and wholesome bits of romance.
私にはわからないんです。人吉様にとってどうあれば私は必要とされる存在になれるのか。
This is an anime that got released last season, and it's something I really enjoyed watching. The anime gives full focus to the two main characters, and their chemistry is pretty wholesome. Like I've said before, You Are Miss Servant sticks to some familiar tropes, like the former villain trying to escape her dark past but getting dragged back into it, but the wholesomeness makes it all worth it. Number 5, Hano Yukio Maid Team La Verete.
太郎様、お世話いたします。
いいよ、遠慮するよ。
だってそのままじゃやりづらいでしょ。
Once again, we're moving to the 2000s era. This time, we're moving away from the sad maid route to the too many maids route. This is about Taro, who loses his mother and actually moved to his grandfather's household. But surprise, surprise, his old grandpa actually owns hundreds of maid girls. And no, I'm not kidding. Turns out his grandpa wanted him to inherit the mansion, and to befriend him, the girls decided to serve him 24/7.
ずるい。
And come on, you know what kind of anime this is. If you're in here for the guilty pleasure, then this anime gives tons of guilt and tons of pleasure. Once again, this is an old anime, so the comedy is gold. But sometimes you'll come across the same old tropes of the annoying tsundere or the overly friendly big sister. But come on, we've watched enough romance anime to survive that. Number 4, Ladies vs. Butlers.
まだそんなこと言ってるのか、この暴走ドリル。
その呼び方はおやめなさい。私にはセルニアイよりフレイムハートという名前がありますのよ。
知らねえよ、お前のフルネームなんて。
So, do the butlers grab guns and start fighting the girls? Nah, not even close. It's about a poor boy who looks totally like a troublemaker getting tossed into a fancy school packed with girls who fit every anime stereotype you could think of. There's the tsundere, the dare, and a bunch of other dares that aren't even in the dictionary yet.
大きなお世話だ。他のテーブルに行ってくれ。
あら、客がいなければ球児の練習にもならないのではなくて、それでどうやって一人前の執事になるというんですの？
The title alone tells you why this anime fits this list perfectly. And come on, we've got a tsundere girl as a master. That's harder than getting assigned to World War III. Apart from the master-servant trope, this anime slams the whole rich versus poor thing right in your face. The school's whole goal? To teach the butlers and servants how to act like they belong in high society. And obviously, the rich girl is going to fall for the poor, awkward troublemaker while she's busy teaching them manners. Number 3, the Duke of Death and his maid.
いえ、毎日変えていますよ。
え？
紐だったりレースだったりフリルだったり。ご覧になります？
下着の話じゃなくて、でも見せてるよ。
There's always that one anime that looks super basic from the cover, but then turns out to be amazing once you start watching it. Duke of Death and His Maid is one of those romance shows that's totally caught me off guard. First off, the anime uses a lot of CGI, but don't worry, it's not another X-armed disaster. This one's made by JC Staff Studios, so the animation is actually pretty good.
待て待て、どう見ても食材じゃないよそれ。飲むのは僕なんだから。
続行しましょう。
なんて弱い男なんだ僕は。
But where does the master-servant romance come in? Oh, that's when this cute teasing maid enters the scene. Yep, the story's about a duke who falls in love with his maid while taking a retreat. Oh, and the duke has this crazy curse where anything he touches dies. So how's he supposed to kiss his maid? I guess you'll have to watch and see. Number 2, Familiar of Zero.
あんたはただの使い魔でしょうが。
何？
じゃあ、それ洗濯しといてね。
Tsunderes are nothing new, but a tsundere whose boss is around our isekai protagonist like a servant and smacks him when he messes up. Has the trope gone too far, or is it just a clever hook to pull viewers in? I think it's a mixture of both. Familiar of Zero kicks off when Luis summons a familiar from our world named Sato Hiraga. Sato was just a regular high schooler hoping for a normal life, but that dream goes out the window when he's dragged into Luis's world to save her, and save her from embarrassing situations.
朝の着替えを用意しとくように。安心なさい。ちゃんと働けばご飯は与えるから。
与えるって犬扱いかよおい。
This is my favorite ignore the story, love the characters type of anime. This series has 4 seasons, and while the plot can feel a bit loose, it delivers plenty of romance and horror moments. The drama moments can get way too cheesy at times, but come on, we get a tsundere, a maid, an elf, a senpai, a silent girl, and even a queen. Yeah, the queen is the best girl. Number 1, Hayate the combat butler.
あれから私も考えたのだ。お前住み込みの仕事を探していただろう。だったらこの家で私の執事をやらないか。
執事。
We're finishing off with the best master-servant relationship anime of all time. This is a really fun series about an overprotective guy who becomes the butler of a bratty tsundere. But if you think, no, Otaku-dan, I thought you would finish off number 1 with maid anime, then don't worry, my fellow maid lover, we've got a maid in this anime too.
で、彼女からの伝言なのだが、さっきは怒鳴ってごめんなさいと、それを颯君、君に伝えてほしいと。
The only problem with this show is the filler episodes. This show is the king of filler episodes. After finishing the first season, you might notice that the second season that has some characters act like events from earlier never even happened. That's because the first season's packed with filler arcs, but starting with the second season, they stick to the manga. If you skip the filler though, the main story is way better, and it's easy to see why all the girls fall for the main character.